you first start playing music, man?
I started taking lessons on guitar when I was probably 8 or 9. And then I had like my first standing gig when I was 14 years old. I played every Wednesday at the Prairie Rose. That's what that Steak Night at the Prairie Rose song is about. That's like a true story. We'd go to this bar all the time. It was like our neighborhood bar, and my dad knew everybody there, and he knew the guy that owned it, obviously. Yeah. So he's like, let me put my kid on stage. And so I would play Wednesday nights for like 3 hours, just covers or whatever I was learning on guitar. I did that for 2 or 3 years, man.
Was your dad a musician
No,
too?
Not at all. He was affiliated with like Houston Rodeo and booked a lot of bands coming through that area to play like the charity events and stuff. And so he became really good friends with a bunch of these Texas like legend guys, and they were always at my house. He got to be really good friends with Brian Black, who is Clint Black's older brother, and that guy lived at my house for probably 4 years in the mid to late 90s. And like he parked his tour bus outside. He was a musician, obviously, like his brother. And that was kind of a big deal for me, because I saw this guy who everybody knows his brother. His brother is a country music superstar, right? And here's this dude, his older brother, just like touring around Texas in this Silver Eagle. And I was like, man, you don't have to be famous to make a career out of this. That was mind blowing for me.
You saw it was like a tangible thing.
Absolutely,
for you,
man.
Like that you could do this.
It was great. And then I got the experience of like riding with him in the bus to shows, and I would get on stage and sing songs with Brian on his gigs all the time. It was really super cool.
Down to Steak Night at the Prairie Rose, a covered band from 10 to close, and my old man sitting right there next to me.
When you picked up that guitar at 8 or 9 years old, did it make sense to you right away?
Yeah, I was one of those guys that the teacher was like, okay, we can move a lot faster with this kid.
Yeah, and then just playing those 3-hour bar gigs at 14, I would imagine that really gets your chops.
Everything that I heard on the radio that I wanted to play, I would learn it and then try to play it down that gig that next week. So, and that's what built my whole when we started the Moonpies in 2007 or something, we were a cover band, and I was basically doing the same songs I was doing at 14. Because I knew all the lyrics, and it's country stuff, so it's usually pretty easy. It's 1-4-5 stuff. If you know one of those songs, you probably know most of them. And so that's kind of what created the whole band that we have now, is even when I was learning, when I started playing guitar. It's kind of been this whole long period of the same songs.
'Cause I like cheap guitars and cigarettes, and someday soon they'll both try to kill me. So I might as well sell a few cassettes to anyone who paid to listen to me.
My understanding is that when you started putting together like those original tunes, part of the reason was because you felt like there was a hole in this part of country music that you loved a lot, that you weren't hearing anymore on the radio or in bars when you were going out.
It was happening all around me where Nashville mainstream radio had really changed into what they call bro country or whatever, and there's still some stations that were playing country stuff, but nothing that I could get on the radio. And then the Texas thing was like really singer-songwriter oriented, and I was into that stuff, and there was phases of that where I was writing like that, but what we truly did, there was not really an outlet for, other than playing these dance hall gigs where I'm peppering in songs that sound like somebody else's song.
Yeah.
So we tried to write cliche country songs and see if we could build that on our own and make something that we could get onto sneak it in on a Texas country radio station or something like that, even though it didn't really fit the mold. And we've always been like sticking out like a sore thumb in the Texas music thing, which is weird because that's what it started out as. Yeah. But then we, didn't have a home there really. So we're still trying to find a home for it.
That might be wrong, but it sounds about right. Hey, buddy, we're making the Moonpies. How you doing at Pickathon? Hell yeah.